Okay, hello everyone. My name is Keach, and the following is an audio about my journey into becoming a teacher. Throughout the audio here, if you will, I'll ask myself a series of questions and then answer those questions so you can get a feel for what I'm talking about and what I'm going for. So the first question here is, why have you chosen to be a teacher? In what ways might you understand teaching as a calling? And your journey in experiencing connection, community, and wholeness. So firstly, I've always enjoyed teaching, whether it be friends, family, or young people that I know. And I've had a few different jobs that have entailed teaching, and I also really enjoyed those positions. I have some friends that are also teachers, friends and family members, and they always suggested that I go into it and thought that I would be a good fit. Plus, it was always an interest to me. So I finally decided to do so and did what was necessary to become a substitute teacher, and then ended up getting hired as a coach that year as well. And, I really enjoyed both of those positions and was very fulfilled by them. So it really kind of secured my path in wanting to become a teacher. So from there, same thing, passed the necessary tests in order to join a teaching program, and here I am on my journey at APU, really on my way, about to begin my student teaching. As for experiencing community and connection, I feel like those two things have been huge factors in leading me to become a teacher. I love connecting with people. It energizes me to meet strangers. I have the strength of being an includer. I love to include others, especially those who are different from me. And I love the challenge of finding a commonality or experiencing what others may be going through. And I think that's another thing that has also led me to teaching, and I think that it will serve me greatly throughout my career as a teacher. This leads me to my next question here about resiliency. Resiliency may be described as our attempt to deal with a lack of connection, community, and wholeness. Can you recall a time in your own educational or personal experience which required you to demonstrate resiliency? How did you manage to remain resilient? So I think resiliency has played a huge role in my life, especially when I was young and first starting college. I really struggled my first year with grades and my own personal identity and whatnot. Plus, honestly, all I was really there for was sports, my true passion. So I maintained the grade levels I needed to be able to do that. But once I really found a major that I really related to, I really excelled in those classes, and I was actually a candidate for distinction at graduation. So, but all in all, I think my passion for athletics and my experience of being a student athlete has led me to where I am today. To want to be able to encourage and coach others through those tough times and let them know that they can do it. And those experiences and that resiliency has made me who I am, and I hope to help it make others who they are in the future. So, how will I incorporate resiliency into my role as a teacher? I think that resiliency really will be huge in my role as a teacher. And as a role model to the students, I have to show the students that I am resilient and that I don't let life or issues stand in the way of my success. I think that an important thing that we can do for the students so that they truly understand where we're coming from and that we're real people too, is that to explain to them, when we make mistakes and take ownership of that. And not only take ownership of that, but also express to them how we problem solve and came to resolve whatever conflict or issue may be at hand. I think that those types of people skills are very important, especially for youth. And I think it's important for us to admit when we do make mistakes, and so that the students don't interpret that as a negative experience on themselves, or blame themselves, or shut down or no longer learn in your classroom. I think it's really important to keep an open line of communication and let those students know, because we aren't perfect, but it is our resiliency as our teacher and our ability to take ownership and move on and gain their trust and keep it, so that they continue to want to learn and grow alongside us. So the next question is, what cultural beliefs have really led you on your path to becoming a teacher? And I think my biggest thing is my familial influence from my dad. There were a number of things that led me in my life to become a teacher, but I think probably my biggest was impact came from my dad. He had always been a teacher to me and others, and was an adjunct professor at community colleges in addition to his professional career. And I just learned so much from my dad, but I realize now that he taught me something different. Like, he taught me what was important. He taught me not about dates or names. Well, names sometimes, of course, because he's a big name dropper. But he also taught me to problem solve, and that there was always a solution, and we had to just work hard enough to figure it out and to find it. He also taught me how to relate to people and how to connect to people, and how when you walk into a room, you walk right up to somebody, you look them in the eye, and you tell them your full name, and you just start talking to them, and then eventually you do connect. And through that, I've met people all over the world and made tons of connections that I believe will continue to help me advance in my life and career. Plus, I've made a lot of friends, and I think that as a teacher, I will make even more friends, and I look forward to that experience. Okay, and the last but not least question here. How might your current educational philosophies have been impacted by your own educational experience in K-12 and by your experience thus far at APU? My K-12 experiences, as well as my experience at APU, have shaped my educational philosophy immensely. I had a great teacher in third grade who realized that I couldn't read. Not because I was incapable of reading, but because I couldn't see. I had an eye problem. And she took the time, plus communicated with my parents and worked with me after and before school to make sure that I was back reading at the proper level and that I could see everything necessary that I needed to be seeing. So that was one very positive experience that I had in K-12. And then I had a number of other really great teachers, and luckily I only had a few that I think were not so great. But I was always able to remain resilient through those situations, and I think that I will also be able to help my students with that. I think that I'm sure along the way that they will also experience teachers that they may or may not have the most success with, and I want to help encourage them to understand that they can be resilient and that they can succeed in those classes too, and that it's more about mindset and that they can do it. APU has increased my ability to be resilient and given me the opportunity to learn and grow as an individual and as a professional. I've had a great deal of support from my professors, and I look forward to learning more about what it really means and what it really looks like to be a professional educator and a teacher and a leader. This experience has been, thus far, one of the best that I've experienced, and I'm excited for it to continue and for me to join the professional career of educators. I thank you for listening to my audio here about my educational journey and my journey into becoming a teacher. I hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye.